Alright guys, welcome to the channel. Today should have been on the water fishing, but we're kind of in a rain delay. Yep, rained all day, kept me off one of my weekend days. I got to fish yesterday. I'm gonna play a little of yesterday's footage in the background as we go along, just so you don't have to look at me while I talk through the whole thing. Should have been fishing today, but I could have fished. We didn't get flooded out by rain, but it just was going to be enough that I didn't want to have to bag my cameras every few minutes and worry about my batteries and stuff like that. So just stayed home today and kind of chilled, worked on some stuff around the house. But like the title says, winning without forward-facing sonar. I've avoided this subject for years now, since it's really ramping up, or it has ramped up really to be a big topic over the last year and a half. And I've avoided the subject. I've kind of felt like I couldn't compete myself against these guys with this technology. I'm getting older. Takes me longer to learn new stuff. I'm kind of dialed in on what I do. I run 2D sonar almost all the time on my boat. I like to have a few certain things on my screen. I like the depth, the water temp. I'm comfortable with running just 2D sonar, and so I fall back into that habit of using that, and I use it to my advantage. But there are situations, and I proved that to myself this year when our club, Coleman Kayak Anglers, got out on Wheeler Lake, and I won my first tournament that I'd won in years, really. I've been close a few times over the past few years, but this was a really good year up until the last couple of tournaments, when I kind of had some shoulder problems and didn't feel like I was fishing as good anymore. But up until then, most of the year, pretty good season. Pulled off a win on what I consider a hard lake. I love going to Wheeler, but it's always kind of tough on me. I love the weeds. I love the lily pads. I love to get out on the river. I love to fish the bridges, the ditches, the flats, the stumps. I love all that. That is so cool, because you can do that old school. Spinner baits, Carolina rigs, rattle traps, the good stuff. Texas rig worms, bouncing them off stumps, frogs in the lily pads. That's what I love to do. And this tournament just set up to where I could fish old school. Electronics did not really even come into play. Water temp, water depth, so I didn't get stuck, because there are places on Wheeler you can run up and run aground, and even in a kayak you'll be poling your way back out. But I got up into some good thick lily pad patches or fields, is what it looked like to me, along the river, and found some fish in practice. And the causeway, basically along the 31 bridge, I found a little stretch in practice, got bit. We left them alone and covered a lot of area in practice, but those two areas stuck out in my mind, and so I had to fall back on them on tournament day. Tournament day was interesting, because we drove in with severe weather happening, severe thunderstorms as we were going to the lake that morning. As you can see on the radar, and according to the news, it was all going to push out. Well, these thunderstorms shut us down. They shut the fish down. It was really tough They said the day before, I didn't get to practice the day before, but they said the day before practice was really good. Tournament morning, man, it was hard to buy it for me. And looking at, I got the standings pulled up. We have a 4-fish limit during the year in our club, and we go by inches for those of you that don't follow the kayak deal. Normally a 4-fish tournament, it's going to take between 75 and 80 inches to win with 4 fish with the guys in this club. These are some hammers. And I won this event with 67 3/4 inches, which lets me know right now as I look back on it, yes, it was an extremely tough tournament. I edged out second place by 3/4 of an inch, third place by a half inch, and then it starts dropping off a little bit. Took 65 inches to get in the top 5. So it was really tough tournament, but this was a tournament, going back to the title, my electronics didn't really play much of a part in this. I kind of knew the area. I knew that forward-facing sonar wouldn't have helped me if I'd had it on the boat. I was in 2 feet of water most of the day, fishing lily pads. Everything just set up to where it didn't need all that. There are so many fish shallow that, and I am convinced, and I've got another couple of guys in my club that have actually spoken out on this and told me this themselves, and these are some of the guys that I have so much respect for. There's a group of fish that basically live shallow all year. Now, it's up to us to put in the time to practice for these tournaments, or if you're going out just fishing, to get out there and put the puzzle together and learn as you go along and continue to learn. You got to bite in a certain area. What does that mean? You've got to dial that in as you go through your day. Your day can get better or your day can get worse if you don't do that. Practice is a big deal for me in these tournaments. I finally kind of learned how to practice for tournaments after all these years. And begin, what's helped me is learning how to put each little piece together. It's what's helped me this whole year to actually do better than the years before. Is learn from my mistakes. Learn where as much as where we got a bite is where you don't get a bite. And the whole forward-facing sonar thing with me, I feel like I'm at a disadvantage on most of the lakes because I'm going, and let's say I want to try points. I have to go up and physically fish those points, or either run back and forth with my 2D sonar to see if there's a good concentration of fish, or physically fish those points to where my buddy, he can pull up, he can scan that point with his forward-facing sonar, and he knows right away there's either fish there, there's not fish there. So the time factor that forward-facing sonar saves is huge, and it's an obstacle that guys like me, us old timers that don't use it, we know what we're up against. But this year, I think I proved to myself that you just got to put the work in. You can win. You can put enough work in to still build solid patterns, whether it be shallow bites, fishing points, mussels, shell beds, ditches. You put that puzzle together and you put enough work in ahead of time, and you can still compete with the guys that can just go out there and look and say, hey, there's nothing here, I'm moving to my next spot and the next spot and the next spot. but you have got to be willing to put the grind in, and it is a grind. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it, because don't get me wrong, this is not a rant. I'm not upset about forward-facing sonar, and this is not really an opinion video. This is just saying that if you want to compete and you're not comfortable with using it, don't worry about it. If you get it out of your head and focus on what you do know, focus on the bites that you did get, focus on the areas, and remember the areas and the techniques that did not get you bites, you're so far ahead of the game. You don't even realize how far ahead of the game you're getting until it starts clicking into place later. I just hope that I can encourage some guys. There's so much negative attitude right now. Forward-facing sonar sucks. We can't compete anymore. You can compete. We got guys on the top end of our sport that don't run forward-facing sonar. You got guys that can. There's guys out there that can smoke us with a paddle and a rod and reel with no motors, with nothing. It's because they have put the time in. They know how to fish. They know how to find the fish. They look for what the fish are eating. They put all that together, and you can do that too. I can do that too. We just got to be willing to do it. Spring is an excellent example. These fish are this coming spring, these fish will get ready to spawn. They'll move shallow again. All your regular targets will come into play. Your logs, your flats, your mid-range on your points, all that stuff. You'll be able to work this out and put a pattern together, and trust yourself to run these patterns. Don't just junk fish all the time, but spend a day practicing. This is what helped me this year. Spend a day, if you find you're catching fish on lay down trees or stumps, look for that pattern. Hit every tree on that side of the lake that day. Fish every one you come to. Skip everything else and only run trees. It's either working, and by the end of that day, you're going to know, man, this is not what to do, or this is what to do. Edges of weed beds. I love fishing the edges of weeds. I love the holes in the weeds for punching. I love to come across the lily pads with the frog. But I find myself sometimes overwhelmed with all this different stuff I come up on. So what's helped me in practice is breaking down individual things. Practice the edges. I want to throw a spinnerbait by the edge of the weeds, and I'll run 2 miles down like on Wheeler, you can do that sometimes. You can run a mile and cover the edges of the weeds, or the lily pads only, just the edges with a spinnerbait. They're either doing that, they're either there or they're not there. You have eliminated, or you have put a check mark, say, hey, I'm going to do this on tournament day. Come back, run back, use the wind to your advantage, work that area with a frog. Come across it, work the whole area. They're either in the middle of it or they're not. And you just have to have the determination to stick with something long enough to where you can check it off on your list or circle it. And that's what's really helped me this season over all the seasons in the past, is figuring out how to practice. And you've got to put this whole forward-facing sonar, if you're not going to use it, put it out of your mind, and don't let it intimidate you from hitting the water and worrying about these other guys that do have it, because they're doing something different. Figure out what works for you, and then run the hell out of that pattern. If it's a Carolina rig on points and you get a bite, run all the points on that lake until you either say, this is really working for tournament day, or this sucks. And you will come out and your practices will be more productive. You'll feel better about your practice. You'll at least know I'm not doing this or I am doing this. And sometimes once you figure out something that's working, go find something else that's a backup that's working. Maybe this encouraged some of you guys out there. I get in so many conversations about this, and I definitely have an opinion about forward-facing sonar. That's going to be for a different day. This is already dragged on a little longer than I was going to do. I'll get into that next time, but I'm not going to let forward-facing sonar deter me from entering a tournament or enjoying my time on the water, because you might see somebody out in the middle just catching one after another and you might be struggling. Don't give up. If what you're doing is not working, change gears, do something else, keep putting that puzzle together, and when you find anything that gives you a little glimmer of hope, then you start thinking about it. How did that help me? What did I do? Did I do something different? How can I duplicate that? And all of a sudden your trips, my success these days is how many trips in a row can I go to the lake and not skunk? It's been a while now. When you get to that point where you can go to the lake and you can honestly say, I have not skunked in 10 times, 12 times, 20 times. Well, all that hard work that you have put in, learning and figuring this stuff out, you realize, hey, I'm actually improving. We can all improve. We can all keep learning. This is a sport. We can learn the rest of our lives. I hope this didn't drag on too long. I know everybody likes fish catching and stuff, so that's why I put a little of the other in the background. That was me out on Lake George, catching some little bass to Lake George's eat up with little bass. I thought I'd go catch me a few and a couple of brim to bring home to eat, which I did, and they were very good. But you guys stay safe on the water. We will have a video before long on, I'm going to get into my opinion on forward-facing sonar and the sport. And we all have ideas. I'm going to share mine with you when the time comes. Hope I don't lose anybody. I'm not trying to. I'm not going to be ugly about anything. But I have definite ideas because I'm old. And our ideas vary from some of these young guys. Anyway, stay safe on the water. I'll catch you out there. If you see me on the water, come talk. I had somebody just the other day come talk. I put him on the video. So I'll catch you guys next time. I'm out of here.